The massive alien ship hung over Earth like a dark cloud. It was bigger than any city humans had ever built. Admiral Jake Morrison stared at it through the thick glass windows of Luna Base. His hands shook a little as he watched the giant vessel block out the stars. "Sir, we're getting a transmission," said Lieutenant Danny Wright from his station. The young officer's voice was tight with fear. Everyone in the command center felt the same way. Jake walked over to the main screen. "Put it through." The screen flickered to life. What appeared made several people in the room step back. The alien was tall as three men standing on each other's shoulders. Its body looked like it was made of blue crystal. Light moved through it like water. Its eyes glowed white and seemed to look right through Jake's soul. "I am High Arbiter Zethkar of the Galactic Council," the creature said. Its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "You will listen and you will obey." Dr. Lisa Hamilton rushed to her translation equipment. She was Earth's best at understanding alien languages. Her fingers flew over the controls as she tried to make sense of the complex sounds coming from the alien. "Humans of Earth," Zethkar continued, "you have broken 17 laws of the galaxy. You have built homes where you should not build. You have taken things that do not belong to you. You have refused to bow to the council that rules all thinking beings." General Chris Baker whispered into his radio, talking to colony worlds scattered across nearby star systems. His face grew more worried with each report. The alien ships were everywhere. Mars, Europa, Titan, the mining stations near Jupiter, all of them had council vessels watching from above. "You have exactly 72 of your Earth hours to surrender," Zethkar said. "You will tear down all buildings beyond your home system. You will destroy your warships. You will accept council, rule over all human affairs. If you refuse, you will be removed from existence." The transmission ended. The command center fell silent, except for the quiet hum of computers. Jake looked around the room at faces filled with fear and anger. Captain Ryan Foster had warned them, this day might come. 6 months ago, his exploration ship had made first contact with Council forces near the edge of human space. He had tried to talk with them, to make them understand that humans were peaceful explorers. The aliens had laughed at him. They said humans were like children playing with dangerous toys. "Get me President Wright," Jake said quietly. While they waited for the connection, Dr. Hamilton shared what she had learned from studying the alien message. "They're not bluffing," she said. "The translation programs show they mean every word. The Council has done this before. Many times." "How many times?" asked Colonel Nick Taylor. He was in charge of Earth Special Operations and always wanted to know exactly what they were facing. "Based on their language patterns, I'd say hundreds of different species over thousands of years," Lisa replied. "And every single one of them gave up without a fight." The main screen lit up again. President Amanda Wright appeared from the White House Situation Room. She looked tired but determined. Behind her, Jake could see other government leaders and military officers. "Admiral Morrison," she said, "give me your assessment." Jake took a deep breath. "Ma'am, we're looking at over 3,000 enemy ships. Each one is more advanced than anything we have. Our best weapons can't get through their shields. Their worst weapons can crack planets in half. How long do we have?" "Less than 3 days." President Wright nodded slowly. "And if we surrender?" Commander Steve Nelson, who had been studying intercepted council communications, spoke up from his station. "Ma'am, based on what we've learned, surrender means slavery. The council doesn't protect the species under their rule. They use them, take their resources, their people, their freedom. Once you're under council control, you never get out." General Pete Harris joined the conversation from Earth's main military base. "We've started moving our fleet into defensive positions, but honestly it won't matter much. We have 847 ships, they have 3,000. And theirs are better." Senator Mary Johnson's voice came through another channel. She was leading the group of politicians who wanted to surrender immediately. "We have to think about saving lives," she said. "If we fight, they'll kill everyone. At least if we surrender, humans will survive." "Will we?" asked Colonel Mike Sullivan. He had been working on plans to fight the Council using hit-and-run tactics. From what Nelson's intelligence shows, the Council's protection planets are stripped bare. The people become workers, nothing more. They lose their culture, their independence, everything that makes them who they are. President Wright listened to all of them. Jake could see her thinking, weighing the impossible choice. Fight and die, or surrender and lose everything that made them human. "Ma'am," Jake said quietly, "there's something else." Captain Foster's reports show the Council has never faced a species that said no. Not once in 50,000 years. Every civilization either gave up right away or got crushed so fast they never had a chance to fight back. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying they don't know how to handle resistance. They're used to scaring people into giving up. But what if someone didn't get scared?" President Wright was quiet for a long moment. Outside the windows of Luna Base, Jake could see more Council ships arriving. The sky was filling with alien vessels, each one a reminder of how outmatched humanity was. Finally, President Wright spoke. "Admiral, prepare our forces for whatever comes next. I'll give the Council our answer in 72 hours. The transmission ended. Jake looked around the command center. Everyone knew what that meant. President Wright was going to tell the quarter, most powerful force in the galaxy, that Earth would not surrender. It was probably the last decision humanity would ever make. 72 hours passed like a bad dream. President Amanda Wright stood in the White House press room, but this time she was not alone. Holographic images showed leaders from every human colony floating in the air around her. Governor Tim Johnson, from Kepler 442b, Administrator Kate Brown from Wolf 359, Director Paul Davis from the Mars colonies. They were all there, waiting. General Pete Harris had moved Earth's small fleet into position. 847 ships against 3,000 alien vessels. It looked hopeless, but the crews stayed at their posts. Captain Beth Rogers sat in the command chair of the EFS Defiance, one of Earth's newest destroyers. Her hands were steady on the controls, even though her heart was racing. "Ma'am, the Council is demanding our answer," said Admiral Jake Morrison, from Luna Base. On his screens, he could see the massive alien ships moving into attack formation. They were getting ready to destroy Earth's fleet before humans could even try to fight back. Dr. Alex Turner was monitoring alien communications from the Deep Space Array. The signals he picked up from the Council ships surprised him. "Admiral," he said over the radio, "the aliens seem confused. They keep asking each other what's taking so long. I think they expected us to surrender by now." President Wright nodded. She had made her choice, even though it might doom the human race. She walked to the podium and looked directly into the camera that would broadcast her words to every human world and every Council ship. "I want to thank the Galactic Council for their offer," she began, her voice calm and clear. "They have told us we can live if we give up our freedom. They promise to take care of us if we let them rule us." High Arbiter Zethkar appeared on screens across the galaxy. His crystal body glowed brighter as he waited for Earth's surrender. Behind him, Council fleet commanders prepared to receive humanity's capitulation. "However," President Wright continued, "we must respectfully decline their generous offer." The words hit the Council fleet like a physical blow. Dr. Turner watched his instruments go wild as alien communications exploded with confusion and disbelief. Ship captains were asking their commanders what they should do. No one had ever said no to the Council before. "The people of Earth govern themselves," Wright said, her voice growing stronger. "We always have, and we always will. If the Council wants to take our freedom, they will have to kill us for it." Zethkar's glowing eyes flared with rage. In 50,000 years of conquering the galaxy, no species had ever refused Council rule. His voice boomed across space as he responded to humanity's impossible answer. "So be it," he said. "You choose death over wisdom. Your end will serve as a lesson to others." The Council fleet began to move, but they did not head for Earth. Instead, they turned toward the human colony on Kepler 442b. It was smaller than Earth with only 50,000 people. The Council wanted to make an example that would break human spirits. Lieutenant Commander Mike Sullivan was in charge of evacuating non-essential people from Luna Base. But as he watched the Council ships head for Kepler, he realized something important. "They're not attacking us first," he told Admiral Morrison. "They want to scare us into changing our minds." Governor Tim Johnson received the warning that Council ships were coming to his world. His staff begged him to evacuate the colonists, but Tim made a choice that shocked everyone. He refused to run. "If you want our world," he announced in a broadcast that reached Earth and the Council fleet at the same time, "you'll have to take it from our dead hands." The colonists on Kepler 442b were not soldiers. They were miners, engineers, teachers, and farmers. But when they heard their governor's words, something amazing happened. Instead of running away in fear, they came together in the planet's main. Square Captain Helen Murphy was watching from her ship, the EFS Vengeance, when the impossible sight appeared on her screens. 50,000 humans were standing together as the Council's planet-killing weapons powered up above them. And they were singing. They sang old songs from Earth. Amazing Grace, Battle Hymn of the Republic, and We Shall Overcome. Their voices carried across space as the deadly alien weapons charged up with enough power to turn their world into dust. The Council fleet stopped. High Arbiter Zethkar stared at his screens in disbelief. Every species they had ever conquered had begged for mercy at this moment. They had cried, they had pleaded, they had offered anything to save their lives. But these humans were singing hymns as they faced death. "What are they doing?" asked one of the Council commanders. "I do not know," Zethkar replied. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never experienced before. Uncertainty. Colonel Gary Thompson was coordinating Earth's ground defenses when he saw the live broadcast from Kepler. Tears ran down his face as he watched ordinary people face impossible odds with such courage. "My God," he whispered. "Look at them." All across human space, people watched the colonists sing in the face of death. On Mars, workers stopped there, jobs to watch. On Europa, scientists left their laboratories. On Titan, miners came up from deep underground just to see. The Council's weapons finished charging. The colonists kept singing. Children held their parents' hands. Old people stood next to young ones. They all faced the sky together, unafraid. High Arbiter Zethkar gave the order to fire. The beautiful world of Kepler 442b died in a flash of light that could be seen from 100 light-years away. 50,000 human voices fell silent forever. But something else happened in that moment. Across the galaxy, other species were watching. For the first time in thousands of years, they saw someone stand up to the Council. They saw people choose death over slavery, and they began to remember what freedom felt like. The death of Kepler 442b did not break human spirits. Instead, it set them on fire. Captain Helen Murphy watched the debris of the destroyed world float past her ship's windows. Her crew was crying, but their tears were not tears of fear. They were tears of rage. The Council had expected humans to surrender after seeing what happened to the colonists. They were wrong. "All ships, this is Captain Murphy," she said into her radio. "The Council just murdered 50,000 innocent people. They think this will make us give up. Let's show them what humans do when someone hurts our family." The EFS Vengeance led a small group of human ships in a desperate attack on the Council fleet. They knew they could not win, but that was not the point anymore. Lieutenant Danny Wright had studied how the aliens fought. They used overwhelming force against enemies who tried to run away. But humans were not running. Dr. Susan Clark was working in her laboratory on Europa when news of Kepler's destruction reached her. She had been studying captured Council technology for months, trying to understand how their weapons worked. Now she worked faster than ever, driven by anger and determination. "Their shields are perfect against normal attacks," she told Admiral Morrison over a secure channel. "But they're designed to stop rational enemies. Enemies who retreat when things get too dangerous. What if we don't retreat?" Admiral Jake Morrison was coordinating the human response from Luna Base. Reports were coming in from across human space. The Council was attacking colony after colony, expecting each destruction to make Earth surrender. But something unexpected was happening instead. Major John Lewis volunteered to lead a suicide mission against a council supply depot near Saturn. His team of 20 volunteers knew they would not survive, but their attack would disrupt alien supplies for weeks. Before they left, Lewis recorded a message that spread across human space like wildfire. "We die free or we live free, but we never kneel," he said. "The council thinks they can scare us into slavery by killing our people. They don't understand that every death just makes us more determined to fight." The mission succeeded. Lewis and his team destroyed the depot and took out 6 council ships with them. Their sacrifice saved thousands of human lives and proved that the alien fleet could be hurt. Commander Lisa Brown made an amazing discovery while studying intercepted council communications. The aliens were not just fighting humans anymore. Dozens of worlds across the galaxy, other species were starting to rebel against council rule. "Admiral," she reported excitedly, "the Cathani just destroyed 3 council tax collection ships. The Mortok are refusing to send their tribute payments. The Vextai have kicked council administrators off their home world." This was exactly what the council had feared most. For 50,000 years they had kept order by making sure no one ever successfully resisted their rule. But humanity's defiance was proving that the council could be fought. Other species were watching and learning. President Wright was now operating from a hidden bunker after the White House was destroyed in a council attack, but she continued to broadcast messages of hope to human colonies and alien worlds alike. "The council rules through fear," she said in her latest transmission. "They want you to believe they are too powerful to fight. But look around you. Humans are fighting them right now. We're small, we're outnumbered, and we're losing. But we're still here. We're still fighting. And that terrifies them." Colonel Gary Thompson was defending Earth itself as council invasion forces landed in major cities. The fighting was brutal, but humans showed the aliens something they had never seen before. Every street became a battlefield. Every building became a fortress. Every human became a soldier. "They don't understand us," Thompson told his troops as they prepared for another assault. "They think war is about big ships and powerful weapons. They don't know that war is about who wants to win more. And no one wants freedom more than someone who's about to lose it." High Arbiter Zethkar was receiving disturbing reports from across the galaxy. The human rebellion was spreading faster than his forces could contain it. Species that had been loyal to the council for thousands of years were suddenly questioning their authority. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his advisors. "We have destroyed half their colonies. We have surrounded their homeworld. Why do they not surrender?" "Perhaps," suggested one of his generals, "we should destroy Earth itself. End this once and for all." But Zethkar hesitated. Destroying Earth would certainly end the human threat, but it might make them martyrs. Already alien poets were writing songs about the humans who died singing on Kepler 442b. Making Earth into another symbol of resistance might only make things worse. Captain Mark Johnson commanded one of the last surviving human fleet groups. His ships were battered and low on supplies, but they kept fighting. When council forces tried to capture the mining station at Asteroid Belt Prime, Johnson's ships were there to stop them. The battle was hopeless from the start. Johnson had 12 ships against 60 alien vessels. But the human crews fought like wild animals, using tactics no civilized species would ever consider. They rammed council ships, set off their own explosives to damage nearby enemies, and fought until their ships were nothing but drifting wreckage. "This is insane," reported one council captain to his commander. "They're sacrificing themselves for no strategic gain. They cannot win." "Then why do they keep fighting?" the commander asked. Dr. Jennifer Lee, working with other human scientists, had been studying the psychological profiles of council species. She made a breakthrough that changed everything. "They don't understand sacrifice," she told President Wright. "Every species they've conquered was rational. When the cost got too high, they surrendered. But humans don't surrender when the cost gets high. We fight harder." As Part 3 ended, the war had spread across the galaxy. The Council was still winning most battles, but they were losing something more important. They were losing their reputation for invincibility. And in a galaxy ruled by fear, that reputation was everything. On 1,000 worlds, enslaved species looked up at the stars and wondered if they too could be free. The galaxy was burning. Captain Mark Johnson could hardly believe what he was seeing on his ship's communication screens. Messages were pouring in from star systems across the galaxy. The Kethani had destroyed every council building on their homeworld. The Mortuck were attacking council supply ships. The Quindar had stopped sending food to council worlds. Dozens of species that had been slaves for thousands of years were suddenly fighting back. "Sir," said his communication officer, Lieutenant Tony Smith, "we're getting a coded message from the Kethani fleet. They want to coordinate attacks with us." Mark stared at the message in amazement. For the first time in human history, aliens were asking to fight alongside them as equals. The rebellion that started with humanity's refusal to surrender was spreading faster than anyone had imagined. Dr. Jennifer Lee was studying the reports from her hidden laboratory on Europa. As Earth's chief strategist, she finally understood what was happening. The Council's entire power structure was built on fear, she explained to President Wright over a secure channel. Every species believed the Council was unbeatable because no one had ever tried to beat them. But we tried. We're losing, but we're still fighting. That changes everything. Admiral Patricia Davis was preparing for the most desperate mission in human history. Intelligence reports showed that the Council kept their main command ship at the center of their fleet, protected by hundreds of smaller vessels. If she could reach it and broadcast a message to the entire galaxy, she might be able to turn the growing rebellion into a real revolution. "Ma'am," said her tactical officer, Commander Andy Miller, "the odds of reaching the command ship are less than 1%. Even if we succeed, we won't survive the return trip." "I know," Patricia replied calmly. "But this isn't about surviving. It's about making sure the galaxy remembers what we died for." President Wright was ready with the message that would either free the galaxy or serve as humanity's final words. She had spent days writing it, knowing that billions of beings across thousands of worlds would hear her voice. The human fleet launched its desperate attack. Ships that were held together by spare parts and determination charged straight into the heart of the Council Armada. They were outnumbered 50-1, but they fought like they had already won. Captain Sarah Williams led a group of human and alien ships in a daring rescue mission. The Council had built a prison world called Torment, where they kept political rebels from across the galaxy. For centuries, anyone who spoke against Council rule ended up there. Sarah's mission was to break them out. "This is crazy," said her alien co-pilot, a Kethani warrior named Veltar. "The prison is guarded by an entire fleet." "Good," Sarah replied with a grin that was becoming famous among rebel forces. If it was easy, they wouldn't need humans to do it. The prison break succeeded beyond their wildest hopes. Among the freed prisoners was Morthak, a Kethani philosopher who had spent 300 years in council jails for teaching that all beings deserved freedom. His first speech after being rescued was broadcast to rebel worlds across the galaxy. "I have seen the face of tyranny," Morthak said, his ancient voice carrying across space. "But I have also seen something the Council never expected. I have seen a young species called humans choose death over slavery. They have reminded an old galaxy what courage looks like." High Arbiter Zethkar was facing his worst nightmare. Reports flooded in from across Council space. Rebellions on 1,000 worlds, supply lines cut, tribute payments stopped, administrative centers destroyed. The galactic order that had existed for 50,000 years was collapsing. "How many ships do we have left?" he demanded from his generals. 2,000, my lord, but they are spread across 500 star systems, trying to fight simultaneous uprisings. Zethkar's crystal body pulsed with angry light. The humans had done the impossible. They had shown the galaxy that the Council could be resisted. Even if he destroyed every human in existence, the damage was already done. Admiral Patricia Davis's fleet fought its way through wave after wave of Council defenders. Her ships were dying one by one, but they kept pushing forward toward the command vessel. When only her flagship remained, she made the final push alone. "This is Admiral Patricia Davis of Earth," she broadcast as Council weapons tore her ship apart around her. "I'm transmitting from the heart of the Council fleet. To every being in the galaxy who can hear this, here is humanity's final message. President Wright's voice carried across the galaxy on every communication channel. Her words reached Council, worlds and rebel bases, slave planets and free colonies, ancient civilizations and young species just beginning to explore space. To all thinking beings who hear this message, Wright said, freedom is not something that governments give you. Freedom is not something that councils or empires can grant or take away. Freedom is the birthright of every thinking creature in the universe. The message continued as Patricia's ship exploded in a flash of light that lit up the Council fleet. But her sacrifice had worked. The transmission was spreading across the galaxy faster than the Council could stop it. Today, humanity stands with all who choose to be free, Wright's voice continued. We may die, but the idea of freedom will live forever. No tyrant can kill an idea whose time has come. The effect was immediate and devastating to Council control. On world after world, enslaved species rose up in open revolt. The carefully maintained fear that had kept the galaxy in chains for millennia shattered like glass. But Zethkar had one final, terrible weapon. If he could not rule the galaxy, he would make sure no one else could either. He activated the Council's ultimate deterrent, planet-killer weapons that would destroy any world harboring rebels. The first target was the human colony on Wolf 359, where Governor Kate Brown had declared her world a free and independent planet. As the massive weapon charged up to destroy her world, Kate sent a final message that became legend. Tell the Council that humans don't make deals with bullies, she said calmly, as death approached her world. Tell them that today one small planet chose honor over life, and tell them that freedom is worth any price, even this one. Wolf 359 died in fire, but its destruction only fueled the rebellion's rage. Across the galaxy, beings who had lived in fear for centuries looked up at the stars and made the same choice humans had made. They chose to be free. The final battle for the galaxy began at the Council's fortress world of Zeth Prime. Captain Robert Garcia looked out at the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships from 47 different species floated in space around him. Human vessels flew alongside Cathani cruisers, Mortok fighters, and Quindar destroyers. All of them bore the same symbol, a simple white star on blue background that had become the mark of freedom. I never thought I'd see this, said his second-in-command, Lieutenant Colonel Jennifer Bell. 6 months ago, we were alone against the galaxy. Now the galaxy fights with us. On Earth, President Wright watched the battle preparations from her underground command center. The planet was scarred and broken, but 4 billion humans still lived. They had paid a terrible price for their freedom, but they had awakened something that could never be put back to sleep. Dr. Charles Anderson had made the discovery that would end the war. Deep inside Zeth Prime was the power source for all the Council's planet-killer weapons. If they could destroy it, they could stop the wholesale murder of worlds. But the mission would require someone to fly straight through the most heavily defended position in the galaxy. It's a one-way trip, Charles explained to the assembled fleet commanders. Whoever volunteers won't be coming back. Admiral Morrison stepped forward immediately. I'll do it. Earth has lost enough young people, but Colonel Tony Smith had already drawn the short straw from the volunteer lottery. It was the most human way to choose, fair, random, and final. No, sir, he said quietly. This one's mine. The combined rebel fleet attacked Zeth Prime with everything they had. Council defenders fought desperately, knowing that defeat meant the end of their 50,000-year empire. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. Captain. Helen Murphy led the human squadron in their final charge. The EFS Vengeance was held together with spare parts and prayers, but it still flew. Her crew sang old Earth songs as they fought, just like the colonists on Kepler 442b had done so long ago. Liberty Wing, this is Vengeance, she called to her squadron. Remember what we're fighting for. Not just human freedom, but freedom for everyone who ever dreamed of being free. The rebel ships took terrible losses, but they kept pushing forward. Every species fought with the desperate courage of people who knew this was their only chance. If they failed here, the Council would crush every rebellion and rule the galaxy forever. High Arbiter Zethkar watched his empire crumble around him. His fortress was under attack, his fleets were scattered, and rebellions burned on 1,000 worlds. The humans had done something he thought was impossible. They had given the galaxy hope. "My lord," said his last remaining general, "the rebels have broken through our outer defenses. The weapon core is in danger." Zethkar's crystal body flared with desperate light. If he could not rule the galaxy, then he would make sure no one else could try. He activated the fortress world's final defense, a weapon that would destroy Zeth Prime, and everything within 10 light years. "If the Council cannot bring order to the galaxy," he declared, "then let there be chaos forever." Captain Tony Smith flew his ship, the EFS Liberty, through hell itself. Council weapons tore at his hull as he pushed through their defenses toward the power core. His ship was dying around him, but he kept flying. "This is Captain Tony Smith to all rebel forces," he broadcast as his final approach began. "Freedom isn't free. It costs everything you have and everything you are. But a galaxy where children can grow up free is worth any price we pay." The Liberty crashed into the power core in a flash of light that could be seen from orbit. The planet killer network went dark across the galaxy. No more worlds would die to feed the Council's hunger for control. But Zethkar's doomsday weapon was still charging. In minutes it would destroy everything in the system, including the rebel fleet that had finally brought freedom to the galaxy. President Wright made her final decision as Commander-in-Chief. "All non-human ships, retreat to minimum safe distance, immediately. Human fleet will remain to contain the explosion." "Ma'am, you can't," protested Admiral Garcia over the radio. "There has to be another way." "There is no other way," Wright replied calmly. "And this is what we do. We pay the price so others can be free." 50,000 humans stayed behind as the alien ships retreated. They formed a shield around Zeth Prime, using their own vessels to contain the explosion that would destroy the Council forever. When the fortress world exploded, it took the Galactic Council with it. The blast was contained by human ships that became momentary stars, burning bright and brief in the darkness of space. In the aftermath, as rescue ships searched for survivors, they found none among the human fleet. 50,000 more humans had died to save the galaxy from tyranny. The new galactic government was not an empire or a council, but an alliance of free worlds. Each species governed itself, but all worked together to protect the freedom so many had died to win. On the ruins of Zeth Prime, they built a memorial. It was a simple white stone with words carved in every galactic language. Here died the Galactic Council and 50,000 humans who proved that freedom is worth any sacrifice. May their example light the way for all who come after. Years passed. Human children were born on new worlds under alien suns. Their parents told them the story of how humanity's refusal to kneel had brought freedom to the stars. The galaxy was free because someone had been willing to pay the price. And in the depths of space where the Council's fortress once stood, a small blue star continued to shine, a reminder that some things are worth dying for, and that freedom, once won, must never be surrendered again.